Dawson's Rambles.
Hey YouTube, Dawson Ryder here. This is going to be just a little bit of a discussion video where I kind of pose a question to you. I want to take in the feedback, but I'm going to kind of make the decision on my own. But I'm kind of debating about the future, yet again, of Kamen Rider content on this channel. Now, if you don't know, obviously the channel is Dawson Ryder, that's where it partly came from, and I've been covering Kamen Rider since the beginning, but in the last few years my coverage has been more spotty as my interest and just kind of getting tired of certain Toku aspects has really worn on me. I don't know why Rider has been more so than Sentai, because Sentai is arguably more formulaic. Maybe it's because Sentai's been more experimental. But anyway, point is I've been very on and off with my coverage the last few years, but recently I've been trying to be more regular about my coverage with Gotchard, and boy did I pick the wrong series for that. I kept thinking it was Geats where I kind of started being more spotty, but it was really before that. I fell off Saber very early on, and that's a very mixed series as well. But one of the nice things was when I was able to binge watch that when I didn't have any videos to make and I kind of wasn't talking to people about it and getting in that conversation, fandom conversations often ruin everything, I was able to enjoy myself. Don't get me wrong, Saber is still deeply flawed. There's a lot of problems I have with it, especially Hotaro's wardrobe. Not Hotaro. I'm just so used to bashing on Hotaro. Haruto. What's that dude's name? Hat. Regardless, his name doesn't matter. Toma! It wasn't even starting with an H! I think that was a nice experience because I was kind of able to enjoy it without any expectation, and I also didn't look up any of the scans or anything, so like when new characters or forms would debut, I was legit surprised, which is something I've never really experienced. And then I was able to kind of ride that positivity into Revice, and it's kind of the interesting mirror between Geats and Gotchard and Revice and Saber, where Saber kind of got me back into Rider of all things, and I rode that into Revice, and I actually was enjoying Revice for the first little bit, whereas with Geats, I got on this Rider high, and then I went into Gotchard and immediately pushed me back down. But I wound up dropping off Revice, and to be fair, love me some fishing in Quebec. It had nothing to do with Revice being bad or anything. I just wasn't into it. After so many years, Toku has really been getting on my nerves over the last few years in a lot of ways, and again, it wasn't like Gotchard where it's like, man, I just don't want to watch this. It was just like, this is fine, I'm liking this fine, but I'm just not vibing with it right now, so it really had nothing to do with anything Revice was doing wrong. I feel like a parent explaining to the kid that they had nothing to do with the divorce. But I did fall off Revice, and that kind of apathy towards Rider continued through Geats to the point where I didn't even check it out when it debuted. Like, I checked out the scans and stuff, I was really digging the suits and stuff, but I didn't even check it out. It took till like 10 plus episodes to catch up, and when I did, I really liked it, but it still couldn't hold my attention. And obviously, as you saw, it wasn't until very recently where I caught up when there was about 8 episodes left of Gotchard left to air regularly that I really vibed with Geats. Geats really reminded me of things I liked about Rider, but also was a little bit new. It got me on this Rider kick, thank you, to the point where I then caught up on Revice. I really enjoyed myself with that. I even watched a bunch of the specials. I think I watched a couple other things too, and I was making a list. Like, I literally wrote down a list of all the specials I missed that I wanted to watch, and I was excited. I was excited to get back into it. I wanted to do more coverage. It happened to be around the time that Gotchard was getting the scans out, and I really loved the design of Gotchard, so it was like this perfect hype storm of it was getting me back into it. I was excited about covering it again, incorporating even more ranking videos, covering a Rider series right from the beginning as I was hyped for it. And then Gotchard, the first couple episodes I didn't immediately get knocked back down, but I definitely had concerns. I'm like, well, this has some cool stuff, but I'm concerned. But it's like, man, if Geats was the thing to remind me things I could like about it and show me new things, Gotchard is like the perfect storm of everything I hate about Toku and Rider, which is the formula, back to formula, the annoying protagonist that you look like you could flick him over with your finger, who's just so annoying, overexpressive, and the disingenuous emotions, and, propping him up by all the other characters despite the fact that he gets his ass handed to him every other episode. Everything about the core aspect of it, in addition to hating the main character and only liking maybe 2 of the cast members, it feels like they ran, all of the checkmark elements through AI of what makes a Rider series and made this show. In a way, it reminds me of, it's a weird example, but Dino Force Brave is really funny to watch because it's very short, so it kind of hits those just check marks of things you would see, like here's the 6th Ranger, here's this new Zord, here's the storyline about the 2 Rangers being brothers, but it's all very hollow and disingenuous because you don't have that fluff in the middle to fill it out with emotions and investment and character development. It's funny. It's meant to be that way for Dino Force Brave because it's just meant to be this miniseries to sell toys. I mean, Toku is that in general, but you know what I mean. It reminds me of that in the sense that that's what Gotchard feels like. It feels like the checklist without the filler. And by that, I don't mean the filler episodes. I just mean the filler that gives the show substance. I can think of very little unique things about Gotchard. Like, a lot of writer series will go over the same territory, but Gotchard in particular has, I can't think of anything for me personally that gives it its own flavor. Even some of the more generic writer series will have its own flavor to it. Not to mention, then you also include all this Legend writer garbage, and I know that it's supposedly like 3 or 4 different anniversaries where it makes sense to celebrate. It's like, but still, and I found myself being like, well, I'm kind of looking forward to this Legend thing because at least something's happening, but that's also one of my least favorite things is this unnecessary hollow team-up stuff and Legend content. We've run that into the ground. If they want to celebrate whatever anniversary it is, like celebrating the anniversary that someone brought cake in when they were doing Superhero Tyson or whatever they're doing now, just do it in a movie or whatever, man. Just leave it out of the show, but again, it's like this amalgam of things, and it's really wearing me down. I'm finding very few things to enjoy about the show, and I'm just debating about stopping watching it. Not just like, oh, I'm going to stop covering it until the finale, but just stopping watching it because, honestly, it's something I dread. I almost get put in a bad mood when I remember I have to watch Gotchard. And, I did think about the option of stopping covering it until the finale, but I feel like having to do these check-ins is keeping me honest in a way and making me have to watch it because that's part of the reason I've been able to keep up with it is I don't think I've ever been more than 2 episodes behind is I cannot imagine having to watch more than 2 episodes or on my plate. That sounds like torture for me. And the problem is we're so close. Like, we're like a little less than 20 episodes, which kind of sounds like a lot, and it's going to be a while before we get the next writer. But we are so close. It's not like we're on episode 12. It's like part of me just wants to finish the fight and then see what the next writer is like, but I'm just not enjoying covering it, and it makes me wonder what I should do with writer content. And I want to know what you guys think. Do you think I should maybe just stop the regular coverage and just do the finale? Should I just stop watching it and pass it by and maybe wait for the next writer? But in general, even though I've been enjoying some of the extra writer content I've been doing, especially the ranking videos and the suit videos, it feels like despite the fact that I always get a lot of requests for writer videos when I'm not doing them, people don't seem to be that interested in watching them. So I was debating about after Gotchard, whatever I decide to do, I'll probably check out the new writer. I'll cover like the news, and I probably would still cover new significant writer news to give my thoughts and check out the new episode of whatever the new writer is, but keep it more of a casual thing. Check in like, hey, here's my review of the pilot, here's my thoughts on the new writer coming in, when we get scans of the 6 Ranger writer or whatever that's happening. You know what I mean? Like, they have those special writers that debut or stuff like that, or casually do like a ranking video, or maybe one time I decide to give my thoughts on like Kiva, or I rewatch something. I almost never rewatch Toku. I think I've rewatched like 4 series ever, but you know what I mean? Like, do it more casual. Something that pops up every now and then, because as of right now, it just feels like all that enthusiasm I got from Geats has been killed, and then some. Where, like I said, I made that list of Toku stuff to watch for both Rider and Sentai, actually, and now I can't even imagine it. Like, when I'm done with Gotchard, like, the thought of, like, oh, I don't want to watch something Toku-related. We'll watch literally anything else. So, what do you guys think? What should my future of writer content be? I might even put up some sort of poll if I can think of categories, but I guess the idea is, should I keep trying to cover it regularly and hope for the best in regards to next year, or should I make it a more casual thing, and what do you think I should do about Gotchard? Anyways, guys, that's about it for this one. Until next time, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and climb the steps and ring that bell to get notifications for my videos. Dawson Ryder, signing out.